So today is November 3rd, and I'm finally back up on the grid and able to cut some videos. I want to break this down the best I can so this comes across as relatable to you, because this is what I found. And I think it's very important to have this quick little discussion that I'm not okay, you're probably not okay, but that's okay. Let's dig into this a little bit. We had, first Hurricane Debbie, which was kind of just like a normal Florida hurricane. All right, didn't directly affect the Clearwater area. Fine, cool, man, whatever. And we brushed that off pretty good. That was our one for the season. It's okay, And then we had Helene, and that was some pretty intense run up. Hey, how close is this thing going to get? Is it going to pivot? Are we going to get hit with Cat 4? And there was a full week of that, and then it actually did come by, and the storm surge was unbelievable. And I am so sorry for those of you who lived on the beaches or near the water or west of 19 and you got flooded out and you had damages. It's terrible, and I'm going to address that in upcoming videos. It's changed my thought process on things a little bit. We had all of that damage, and then everybody had to empty out their condo units and their homes, and there was sand and muck and other weird stuff, out on the beaches. And that really sucked. I mean, we were looking at a not insignificant cleanup. I've been in this area of Florida pretty much my entire life. This is this is home. This is what I know. This is what I'm used to. This is the worst I've ever seen or heard of, and it was understandable. It wasn't like it was entirely unexpected, but it was beyond what we have ever experienced, and at least in recent memory. That was a hard one to swallow. I mean, that was pretty bad. So we're still sitting here looking at all of, washers and dryers and refrigerators and beds and, bed frames and bookcases and all of that sitting out curbside. And hey, we got Milton coming. Okay, so what's the deal with Milton? And now, mind you, I watched Dennis Phillips almost exclusively, and he said, cold front, wind shear, going to knock it down from potentially a Cat 5 to something more tolerable. And that did happen, but there's always the question in the back of my mind, what if that doesn't happen? And worst case scenario, we're talking a Cat 5 direct hit to the Tampa Bay area someplace, with all of this stuff sitting outside of people's houses. And I'm going to admit, more than once, I've done the hurricane simulator thing, we're going to call it that, where, over 100-mile-an-hour winds. Cool, man. It's just wind. That doesn't bother me in the least. But Helene opened my eyes, and then we had, all of the debris out there. And let me tell you something, nobody wants somebody's, roof debris or something like that flying through the air at 120 miles an hour down like that. That's a bad recipe right there. And I hadn't even really allowed myself to consider the tornadoes and the damage that those caused. That was unbelievable. Again, we've seen a couple small ones over the years, but nothing like we saw out of Milton. So me and my family made the decision that for only the second time in my life, the first time was Hurricane Irma, when I wanted to get out of town in case I couldn't get out of town. If that one had made it out into the Gulf, that was scary because it was already Cat 5. If it had just kind of moved around the bottom of Florida there and tracked out into the Gulf, if the weather forecast wasn't spot on, that was going to be a problem. It was going to be a hook shot with a Cat 5. I did not want to mess with that, and I didn't want to be stuck here having to mess with that. So that one I evacuated to a buddy's house up in Hudson. This go round, coming straight for us, man. We've got washing machines and furniture all sitting out curbside and a bunch of trees, and I don't need to be there for that. I just said that's it. I have to bug out. I need to take my dog and my wife and my mom and her 2 dogs. We're getting out of here. And it worked out great. We went up to Tallahassee. We got to hang out with William at FSU. Got to watch him play. He plays in the band. So, we watched him play at a couple of events, and that was wonderful. And we took a week off. And then we came back, and I still didn't have power. And I still didn't have internet. For the month of actually since Helene, we went in total 10 days with no power and 30 days with no internet. I was Fred Flintstone for a month, and I'm just now back to the Jetsons. And obviously, like, if you ever say, yeah, I'm taking the weekend off, man, it's cool. And you come back Monday and you're like, where did all these emails come from? Why do I have all this stuff to do? Imagine not being able to do hardly anything for a month. Yeah, I've been more than a little busy playing catch up on stuff. The worst thing is I'd forgotten where I stopped. It was like, what was I doing a month ago? So I had to poke at the computer a bunch. I've still got a couple of things that I do need to update and fix, and then I can get back on track. But, and then we had the fallout from Milton. Like, now we've got a little bit more damage. Thank God it wasn't as bad. Home by home, it wasn't as bad as what I expected. But there was still some extra damage from Milton. And it's heartbreaking, but it's stressful because it's all the anxiety. And then, okay, we made it through. And then, we got home and there's no power, but the house is okay. And for a lot of people, they can't say that. And my heart goes out to you. We know people who lost their house and their car. And you're like, dude, what do you do at that point? I don't know. And it's been really, really difficult to internalize this, deal with it, and say, it's okay, we're fine, we can move on again. I'm still tired. And anyhow, so I finally got home, got all the stuff that we evac with, got that unpacked, did some household projects that needed to be done because of that. And I collapsed for about 2 days, 3. Yeah, it was rough. And I'm still not up to full speed. But I got out and I went looking around some of these neighborhoods. I just wanted to go down to Dunedin Causeway and see how it fared with my own eyes. And I just made a quick drive. Tactical strike, let's go out there, sit there for 10 minutes and come back. And I'm still in shock of what the neighborhoods look like and the amount of damage that is still out there. Fortunately, in my neighborhood, we just had some tree branches down, and a couple of people lost some fence panel and just minor stuff. But the areas that were closer to the water, they had really big problems. And I saw it while I was out driving. I said, I've got to tomorrow when I'm feeling a little bit more spry, I'm going to grab the drone and I'm going to go out and I'm going to document this. And that's what I did. And I've got a ton of footage from this, and I've tried to cut it down so this video wouldn't be an hour long, to something that you can look at and realize this was only a couple of days ago. The damage is still out there. We still can't avoid seeing it. I'm fortunate that the brush on my block got picked up, but going out to the grocery store, still bloody obvious. There's nothing that you can do to avoid all of this. So we came through this, I'm going to refer to it as a month of hell. And now we've got, election. I'm just waiting for all of this to be over. And now, as of this morning, we now have, I think they've named it, or maybe it doesn't deserve a name yet, but there's an area down in the Caribbean next to the Yucatan that's spinning up. But fortunately, according to the last report I saw from Dennis Phillips, it's scheduled to just wander off into the middle of the Gulf, and it should be far enough away from Florida. Maybe we get a little bit of surf, but other than that, shouldn't be an event for us. But it's here you've got almost 2 months of just nail biting.
Stop the insanity!
And yet when I was out there with the drone and getting some of this footage, I talked to 4 different people. I did not, you can see one of them on one of these clips because, I had the drone in the air and he came over and we just chatted. And he had some damage to his house. And he said, I've been here forever. I love it. I'm not going anyplace. And I get that. I totally get that. like deep down in the core of my soul, I get that. I don't want to live anyplace else. But he said, yeah, it was a little bit shocking. And, you know, he had workmen in there as we were talking, gutting his place to rebuild it. And that's hard because you're not back to a sense of normalcy at that point. And the rest of his neighborhood is completely littered with all of this debris. There's no sense of normalcy there. And then I went over and got the video I'm going to put up here now of the central dumping location for this area, which is, I think it's Highlander Park. I'll have to go look up. I'll put the title up. It's behind Dunedin Arts Center. And there's a ton, like an unbelievable amount of debris there, which is great. I mean, it's a central collection point. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And that's to stage it out of the neighborhoods to one central location and then move it out to wherever its final destination is. At least get it off the streets. And that's good. But the scale of it was mind-boggling. And while I was there, I met 3 other people, and all of us said the same thing. We're exhausted. We're completely toast from these experiences. And yet you can't turn on the TV without getting bombarded with political ads. And, you know, I saw a meme. I thought it was hysterical that, you know, once you vote, they should be forced to turn off the ads for you and your TV because you've already seen it. You already made your decision. Leave me alone. But yeah, and then we got this other system out there, and people are they're hyping it. Oh, look, it's going to be terrible in the Gulf. No, man, like we're that's it. We're done. We're tapped out. We have $0 left to give at this point. But literally every person I've talked to is just like, I'm over it and I'm so tired. I'm tired of worrying about it. I'm tired of putting up hurricane protection and then taking it back down and putting it back up. And do I put out my Halloween decorations? Are there going to be trick-or-treaters? Like it's all just been this one long sequence of crunch time.
I'm tired, boss.
And everybody's tired. And I'll be straight up. I am too. I am just absolutely, utterly exhausted from this process. And I'm still trying to play catch up. So I apologize for not doing my live stream on Thursdays. I didn't have any way to do it. I mean, I could have done it off my cell phone, but that was kind of iffy. And I'm telling you, when we made it up to Tallahassee, that was 2 days of pack the cars, try and find gas, hopefully not get into a fist fight at the gas station, get out of Dodge, unpack the cars, make sure the dog's safe, you know, all that. By the time we got in there, I literally just laid on the couch and watched TV for the next 2 days. I didn't have it in me to do much more. It's been a rough ride. And if you're feeling like that, I understand. I don't know if you're out talking to people too, but this is the general gist that I've gotten from every single person that I've talked to. We're tired. We need to be able to take a step back, take a deep breath, realize that we've made it through. The worst is behind us. Whatever happens with the election happens, you know, at that point. It's okay. We're okay. We're going to be okay. We just need a little bit to get our mind and our soul around we're okay again. And once that happens and we can start going back to normal habits, and the debris isn't out there screaming in our face about how bad things have been, things are going to be okay. Like I said, I had a month where I couldn't do a live stream. I might have been able to cut a video, but I didn't have my good computer up because, you know, I was without power. And then I did get it up, but I didn't have internet, so I can't go pull. It's just such a pain. It's okay. I'm back up. It's just going to take a little time. It's like taking a week off, you know, or 2 weeks off from work, and you got to play catch up. I got to play catch up. But that being said, in the next week or so, there's certain topics that I feel are extremely critical at this juncture to discuss with people. One, I'm going to do a short and ask people to stitch it, but that's about mortgage forbearance. If you haven't already gotten a hit up about it, you will. And I think it's important to have the right information from the sources as to if this might be a good thing or a bad thing, and from people. Maybe you've had a good experience, maybe you haven't. People need to know this. I've got a buddy of mine He buys distressed properties, and he is my trustworthy guy. I said from the moment I met him, here's my keys, here's my dog, here's my wife. Do it, just take it. I'm fine. You're fine. I'm not worried about you. He is just that good-hearted of a guy. And I want him to talk about dealing with wholesalers, because there's a lot of homes out there that do have damage, and the damage needs to be documented, and you got to go through insurance claims. And then, what do you do with a damaged house that you don't want to rebuild or live in? You sell it to a guy like him. And I've got a couple of other insurance things where I've got people that I want to talk to about what's the deal with the insurance? What's the deal with insurance adjusters? How does that process work? There's a lot of good info I think a lot of people need and will find beneficial. And I want to get that out there because these are the things you're going to have questions about. You may not know where to get the answers. You may not know who to trust on these. I know who I would trust, who would be my first phone call, knowing they know what they talk about. And I want to bring that to you. But in the meantime, take a deep breath. It's okay to not be okay right now. As long as you're not funny farm with the grippy socks and the jacket that makes you hug yourself, you're doing okay. And it's okay if you're not. That's pretty much all I wanted to cover on this quick video. Again, watch for a lot more content, but I hope you made it through okay. And if you didn't, there's tons of resources out there. Or if you're looking for some of the recommendations of the people and the contacts that I have that might be beneficial to you, feel free to hit me up. You can always find my contact info at the end of every video. Thanks for watching. I hope you're doing great, and hopefully have a better November.